Happy right now. Welcome to day 3 of How to Surf Life's Biggest Waves. Today we will be talking about presence and being and how the present moment is the greatest present. But first I want to recap on the last 2 lessons, and I want to start with self-inquiry. And so I'll start with all of that and then we'll get right into it. So let's start with self-inquiry. So if you're listening to this or watching this, I invite you to really take notice of your space right now. If you're driving, then just kind of think about this. But if you're sitting somewhere and you're in a space that you can be really quiet and take your hands off life, I'd like you to close your eyes and really feel into your seat. Wherever your hands are, whatever they're touching, notice the subtlety of their touch. They're touching your legs, or you got your hands touching each other, or you got them folded. Take notice of what the top of your hands feel like against something else. Notice how your seat feels, where your feet are. Feel your lips. Feel what your back is touching or not touching, or the clothes on your back. Notice the subtle sensations. Your glasses or a hat or long hair, if that's brushing against your shoulders or anything. Just notice the subtle sensations of the body. There's a breeze or the temperature of the room. Subtle sounds of an airplane or a bird or other people talking. Whatever it is, just start paying attention to the subtleties of right now. Who is it that notices the sounds and the touch and the smells? Is it you? Is it your name? Is it an idea, a thought? If so, who is that? Who is your name? Who is that body? Who is that thought? You might say it's an idea or another thought, or you don't know. Well, what is that? You feel that space, that sense of wonder, a sense of beingness. That is the essence of who you are. And now open your eyes. Just take a look at your space. Look around. What is this? What are you looking at? Look at it without labels, without identification. Almost like you're a fresh new baby. This room that you've probably seen at least, a month, a perceived month. What is this space? Maybe you've not even seen this space. Maybe you're somewhere that's new or someone else's place. But you've seen this room at least for a day or for this moment. But what is it? It appears to be outside of you. It appears to have texture and density and weight. We've been taught that. We've been taught that this is an object and it has weight and it's made of something. We call it a pillow. And there's a whole infinite library of information on just this pillow. If we go looking for it, we could find out about the dyes of the thread, the manufacturers, people in India who made it, their whole backstory, where the cotton inside of it was picked and farmed. The list goes on. The infinite doorway of everything is expansive. We could go on and on and on, and it would take us back to what? Nothing. Because this is a dream. And so on day one, I got into this. Day one was about our divinity inside of this illusion, this Maya. We are that space, that unnameable, unidentifiable thing that we are calling divine. But it really goes beyond even that, because that too is a label. That's an identification that limits the capacity to understand exactly what it is. But on day one, there you can go back to the first video. I talk about the divinity and our relationship to this dream. And as we awaken and go on this spiritual journey, we start to really dismantle the idea of this physical self being who we are. We start to realize that while this appears to be real and has a whole infinite doorway of knowledge just on this pillow, it actually isn't anything. It's amazing. It's so mysterious. It's so divine. You know, we've grown up with so much programming, so much identification, so much certainty that this must be real. And I am separate from you and everything I see. And now I, the ego, have to survive it. And so yesterday on the other call, the second call, I talked about the law of one. When we start to realize that we are not the ego and this isn't real, there's only one thing to look at. There's only one thing that's real. And that is whatever name you want to give it, but that's God. That's this. This, the isness of it all. The only thing that's real cannot change. It cannot be born and it cannot die. And that is who we really are. It witnesses all of this, like you being the witnesser of your dreams at night. It's no different. It encapsulates all of this, but this is not real. It's the witnesser of all this, the creator, in which all these things can be inside of it, but it's not it in full truth. And so there's only one. And one is also right now. And so today's message is right now. Right now is the only thing that exists because this is a dream. And have you noticed that the dreams you have at night, notice there's no beginning or end? You tend to wake up and you wanted to see what was going to happen. And you don't remember that distinct beginning. You just happen to be right there on that street or in that building or doing that thing with someone else. These characters just appear and things are just there at random. Our life is pretty much the same. Try remembering the very beginning of your own life. It's a little fuzzy for most of us. We were told we were born, and we have pictures and we have all these concepts, and we may have actually been born inside of this dream, but it's actually not certain when you get into direct reality and come into this moment. And it would appear you're going to die, and it appears you've seen other people die perhaps, but you actually haven't gone through your own death if you're watching this. And so even that in this moment is actually uncertain, though you've been programmed to believe such. I know it sounds far out, but when you get really into this moment, all of this stuff becomes very hazy. There is no birth, there is no death. Now, if the body seems to go through such, you are the eternal being that actually goes through none of that. Some of this stuff is actually beyond logic and comprehension. Science and math and scholars have been trying to understand the workings and mystery of the universe from the dawn of time. And it takes mystics, it takes gurus, it takes faith seekers to understand this stuff because it's of the heart. It's not of the mind. It's beyond the mind. So some of this stuff you're not going to understand just coming from your logical mind, but you got to drop into your knowingness and your beingness of your heart and of your soul, the essence of who you really are. And that requires you to be here now. It requires you to be still and quiet and to turn off the thoughts and to do the work to get present. A lot of the mystics have taught us to go into nature and to get outside of the familiar so that we can be still and watch the workings of the universe. We can do it in our own home. And we can make it a practice by stilling our mind, just bringing it back when it wanders off, because it's going to do that. So just bring it back. Bring it back. No judgment, just bring it back. Bring it back. Now. Now. Feel your feet. Feel your back. Notice the scent. Just be here now. This is the true place of bliss, the truest place of nirvana and heaven and ecstasy and Satchitananda, a samadhi. It's only right now. And so when life throws you the biggest waves, come back to right now. Some people like to use their breath, but just remember you're not your body. But the breath is a really good mechanism for coming back to the body or to the moment. So when the waves of life come crashing up and it feels like you are about to drown and come, flopping over into the waves, be in it, choose it, let yourself be thrown, swim, delight in it. Enjoy the feeling and sensation of the water toppling over you and pulling you. The best news is you can't drown because you're God. So, whatever the moment has for you, agree with it, welcome it, take pleasure in it. Feels like the waves are just slamming and hitting you. Dance with it, move with it, glide with it, enjoy it. Let it push you against the rocks. Make it a little bruised, but you can't die. So, what if you lost your job? So, what if you can't pay your bills right now? So, what if you're sick or your heart is broken or you don't know what you want to do with your life or you're lonely? So, what? All of that is of the dream. All of that is the ego. You thought yourself to be a person who has to survive this thing called life. And not only do you survive it, but you socially want to look beautiful and be of worth and value and have something meaningful. So you try to manifest and you try to build something and make it bigger and better and more beautiful and pack it all into a lifetime because you thought you were this ego, this character. And inside of that is so much suffering because that character knows it's going to die. The ego is certain of it, but the ego forgot it's omnipotent, it's eternal, it's God. And so our spiritual awakening is remembering that we are not these bodies and those ideas and all those things and things we think we need to have and do and be are not it. They're of the dream. They're of the ego. They're of the mind. And that is not who we are. So as we learn to come into this moment, for most of us, we're going to start slowing down the mind and the racing thoughts, the regrets, the judgments, the hopes, the dreams, the wishes, the prayers are going to all start to cease slowly for most of us, rapidly for some, instantly for others. And it's going to start slowing down, and we're going to start slowing down those thoughts. Maybe they come up and they come down, and they come up and they come down. And we start slowing down and getting more and more present. And every time we get present, we realize we are not a human doing, we're a human being. Human means God, man. Hugh, man. Hugh is God, man is us. We're a God man, a God form being. We are here to be, and we can only be by knowing. We are complete and perfect and whole right now. And the dream has taught us opposite, that we're incomplete and always needing to do and fix and be, or do and fix and wish and dream and have more and change, and constantly feeling incomplete in some capacity, trying to save ourselves and hold on to this, be careful of that, and make sure to do that. and start dreaming about that thing and create a to-do list and, still harbor a little bit of guilt about that, the dream is incomplete. And so it's always
God. What's your fucking deal, dude? What the fuck is wrong?
or the top dog at work. We're now being masterful and mindful of this one moment, making sure to expand and listen and give this moment the very best over and over and over again. As we go on this journey, we're likely to trip up and some habitual ego patterns come back in and say, oh, but you're supposed to worry. You're supposed to do. You should be concerned about that. And so one way of dealing with that is take those feelings and that fear, bring it up, welcome it. Like I said, when the waves crash down, welcome it. Yes, it's what the moment has for me. Fear is arising. It's telling me, hey, you should be trying to survive right now. You should be worried how you look. You said something people don't usually like. Be concerned. Be concerned. Come on, do something. Do something. And when you catch yourself and you stay present, you can start to transmute that energy. Take any stress you might feel in your belly or in your chest or shoulders or wherever it appears and bring it into your heart. Bring it into the heart space, not yours, because we're not the body. Bring it into the light, the heart space. Welcome it. Welcome all static, fear, anxiety, pain, physical pain, depression, animosity, hatred, jealousy. Anything that keeps you from the present moment, bring it up. Bring it up. And take some time as often as you need to do this. This is transformative work. This will bring you more and more and more into the present moment because then you're not bringing your past fears and your future concerns. You're not dragging, you're not fixating. So you want to transmute this energy and you want to get this to be a practice. So do it often. It can take a few minutes, it can take an hour, but do it every time you notice, oh, I'm freaking out about money because my habitual pattern, my ego says I need to be doing instead of being. So you take that doing freak out energy and you say, okay, come up. I feel so much tension right around here. Feels staticky and energy and hot and it hurts and it's uncomfortable. And you just imagine it. I imagine it as a dark, dense cloud or like a tornado or a hurricane or a storm. Sometimes it's a mild one and sometimes it's just a raging storm and it's felt all throughout. So I take all that doubt and all that fear, and I bring it into my light. This is who I am. I'm the eternal sun. The eternal sun. Nothing can touch it. Nothing can touch this. It's eternal. It's omnipresent. So imagine that storm. The storm is freaking out about money. It says, you are not doing enough to take care of yourself. You should not be sitting around meditating. You should be doing something to make sure you're safe. So I take all that freak out and you don't think about it too much, but you just watch it. Watch it from the sun. You watch it from the sun and you just let those clouds melt. You just watch that energy. So I'll sit and I'll often stare at a wall so I don't go to sleep or get distracted, and I'll stare. And I'm just imagining the sun burning up the energy. The sun is back here and the energy is right here. And I'm just imagining. And sometimes I even put a blanket. I'll physically put a blanket, or I'll imagine the sun wrapping itself around those clouds. And I'll hold that energy in until it melts. And I just welcome it. All that pain, all that fear, come here. I am the sun. I love you. I am the sun. You are welcome here. And I just let that energy just melt. All that fear of money just melt. And I just, meanwhile, I am the being. I am present. I am the eternal sun. I cannot be harmed or touched. The sun does nothing. It does absolutely nothing. That's not to say at this point in our beingness that we're going to sit around and do nothing. But for some, that is exactly what they do. Unanis, gurus, quite a few of them get to a point where they've gone so far inside of the bliss of the moment that their life has to be taken care of. They have to be fed and walk to the bathroom because they've gotten so far in the beingness that they've disidentified so much with the body, they're not even aware of this. They're outside of form. The body hasn't died or evaporated or transcended yet. And so they're living between. And they're so inside of their beingness that there's just no identification whatsoever. That's a possibility that could exist for all of us. And a lot of us are somewhere between the doer and that Unani. We're still appearing to live a life. We're still appearing to do stuff. But what a lot of us on this path are figuring out right now is how to be in the mind, to have a still mind and still operate in a world that appears real and appears to have duality. Be still and still orchestrate and live inside of this. And this is a mindful practice of constantly be here now, watching those thoughts, watching the engagement, transmuting the fear, coming back to this moment and realizing who oneself really is. Are you the ego character, Mine is called Candace, or am I the beingness? And I'll tell you, Candace gets lost, and it gets crazy for Candace when she thinks she's got a life to protect and take care of. It can get gnarly for her. And those waves hit pretty freaking hard. And she thinks she's drowning quite often when she gets outside of this. But the work is in realizing there's nothing to do. Life will take care of us. The Supreme Being has already designed the entire outcome. There is nothing left to do. While it appears that we are doing stuff, it is already played out like a movie. It's already written in the script. The very next words coming out of my mouth were already there. I am just watching the unfoldment through Candace. But this is already complete. By being present and staying very acutely aware of the moment, everything works out perfectly. There are no problems because there is no life. Everything is perfect. Everything is complete. There's no more creating. There's no more doing. There is just happening. Whatever Candace does was in the works and the design of the Supreme God. All Candace has to do is sit back in the mind, and the body will naturally drink a glass of water and will likely go to bed tonight, though that's not certain. But whatever comes of the character in the story of Candace is fateful. Candace used to want to manifest and try to create a life, all of which is the ego. All of that is separation. Wanting anything, wanting life to go any certain way is of the ego. Wanting is not complete being. Desire, dreams, hopes, wishes, prayers are of the ego. The only way to bliss is in being, accepting the now exactly as it is. So my mantra that I encourage you to recite is, I love what is. I love what is. I love what is. If it appears that there's a problem, I love what is. If there appears to be something you like, I love what is. There is absolutely nothing wrong ever in the completeness and the beingness of now. From the divine seat, everything is perfect. There will be natural, spontaneous movement of what appears to be our character, and we'll live in divine harmony and just know exactly what step to take and when to do it. We'll naturally book our appointments and our vacations by living in these beingness with no attachment to how it goes. And we can live in divine bliss, just going with the flow. Life is going to constantly appear to change. And so that's why you want to have no grip on it. You just want to accept and know it's the most beautiful and perfect dance. Part of the dance has dips and unexpected changes. And that what makes it beautiful? No surfer who just began to surf bought their board and expected to be doing a hang 10 on day one. They expected to get it there and flop around and fall off that board and get their ass kicked quite a bit. We didn't come here to just we came here for the ups and downs, the twists and turns, and to experience the human, the God in form. The human enjoys the unknown and the mysteries. There is nothing ever out of order. What may appear to be a disaster could actually be the very catalyst for transformation and the greatest wonder. Everything serves. Every accident, every illness, every heartbreak, every setback is by design from the highest order. Alan Watts says, what's discord at one level is perfection at another. Well, he said something different, not perfection, it's harmony at the other level. There is no greater place than right now. It's all there actually is. And it's the most beautiful and tranquil place. Every moment of your life is holy. Every moment of your life is sacred and special. Whether you're folding towels, whether you're wiping your ass, whether you're wiping somebody else's ass, whether you're sitting there wondering how you're going to pay your bills, or you're sitting there with your heart broken, it is a holy moment. It is such an honor to be God, experiencing you just as you are right now in this form, being exactly as it is. There is nothing that's unlovable or unacceptable or wrong in the eyes of God because it's all one. Our greatest peace comes by knowing and being and living in this truth. I love what is. Thank you.